You're about to meet a very driven, beautiful, positive soul. Her name is Aly Merritt, and she's the Chief of Staff at SalesLoft. Such a cool title, by the way. Equally cool human. She also blogs at Aly and the ATL, which you should absolutely read. Aly is a huge champion for women and diversity technology, initiatives that I think anyone can get behind. So join me now, connect with Aly Merritt.
Joining us this morning, Titania Jordan.
Tatiana Jordan. Did I get the name right? Jordan?
Titania.
Titania. Okay. All right.
It's Titania Jordan.
So I'm here with Aly Merritt, who most of you know because she's an Atlanta rock star.
True, but I would like it to be true. We're working on this.
If you don't already read her blog, Aly in the ATL, you should. Aly in the ATL.com, that's ALY.
One L.
One L, by the way.
Important.
It's
It's
very important.
alliterative. There's one L in ATL, there's one L in Aly.
I love it.
Now
That's
it's
so
branded,
great.
so it can't change.
One L in love.
Yes.
One love. But seriously though,
That went really, changed very quickly there.
kumbaya, Atlanta taxi.
I was like, we can hold hands.
Okay. Back to, like, seriously, whenever Aly and I get together, we talk about 7 different things at once. So
Accurate.
you're welcome, because you're now on that crazy train with us.
I know. Well, you were like, this is going to be a natural conversation. And I was like, okay, how many things do you want to cover?
At once.
Concurrent threads.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so Aly is the host of Atlanta Startup Village every month at Atlanta Tech Village, which is amazing
Thank you.
and terrifying.
Yes, it is both of those things, and that's actually, those are the words I use to describe it: amazing and terrifying.
Yeah.
And I can't lay claim to it entirely. I inherited it, and it was already amazing, / probably not as terrifying because I wasn't the one up there having to do it. But I inherited it from John Birdsong.
Hey, John.
Yeah, you should do a little pop-up shout out for
Yep.
him. Bing. So he ran it for 5 years. And he had almost 50 episodes, which I know because he came back and did a guest episode for the 50th anniversary, which was really cool. So I inherited it last January, and he started it actually with my company. I work for SalesLoft, and my company's founder, Kyle Porter, started it with John Birdsong because they were in Boulder at Techstars, and there is a Boulder scene that does this pitch event, and they were like, Atlanta doesn't have anything like that. Like, now the Atlanta tech scene is pretty great.
It's vibrant.
And it's growing really rapidly, but 5 years ago, that really wasn't the case. And so they brought this event back and started building it, and the first one was at Hype, back when Hype was a place, not just an online publication.
Wow.
I know, it's amazing, right? And so I think their first turnout, they had 100 people, and now it has 11,000 members on Meetup, which, I mean, all props to John, because had you told me you could run a functional event off of a Meetup, I would have laughed really hard, but it works. He handed it over to me and it had like 9,000 members, and it's grown another 2,000, and I have no idea why it works, but I'm terrified to change anything because
Don't
it
change
works.
it. It's beautiful.
So,
no, it's awesome. And I love how much you love, getting back to the L word, Atlanta startups.
I do.
You pour into them, whether it's at Atlanta Tech Village or down at Switchyards. You
Yes.
also recap
The consumer show.
the consumer show, which, if you haven't been to Atlanta Startup Village or the consumer show and you care about technology in Atlanta, like, you have to go.
Yeah,
that is
you're
part
missing
of,
out.
That's like the lifeblood of our community.
Well, and the fun thing is so ATV is very focused on tech, although I have added in a couple of companies here and there that aren't necessarily like another app during Startup Village. And then Switchyards is consumer and design focused. So sometimes they have things that aren't apps because they are design related, which is really cool to have a little change in that too.
Yeah, it's beautiful, both the B2B and B2C community that we're really elevating in the Southeast. And fun backstory, just to get a little sentimental with you, Aly and I first connected when I pitched
Yes.
at Atlanta Startup Village. There was this amazing, engaged woman in the audience who was like taking notes, and I was straight up like,
what is going on? Like, does it really? She's taking notes on my presentation. So, of course, I was terrified. Like,
Stop
so
it. You have
scared.
never been terrified in front of an audience in your entire life.
Well, I
This
have.
is
You just
not true. It's
can't
not true.
see it. But I was so scared, and then she was just so kind and thoughtful and came up and said such kind things because it was a really vulnerable moment for me. And then her recap. Y'all, I couldn't have written it better myself. I mean, it was
thank you.
so in-depth and spot on and factually accurate, and like, it was just such a beautiful piece. I remember sharing it with our team and being like, she's some kind of like startup angel? Like, what is this?
You said really
angel,
nice
but-
things to me later about it too.
Well, it was awesome, but you do that for every startup. Like,
I try to.
You're
I
a
try
giver.
to. But that's part of it, right? Is that people who are creating startups are incredibly passionate about something, whatever it is, because they've been willing to stay up super late, give up all these amazing things. They work for no pay, Skittles, beer. You know, they've got typically families they've had to put on a back burner somewhere, hobbies, friends, and it's something that's that important to them, and so it deserves to be told. Unfortunately, not every single entrepreneur is also into sales and marketing, and so it's hard to say, look how great this thing is, and so I try to give them something where they can say, look how great somebody else thinks my thing is. And you know, I'm honest about it.
absolutely.
I'm not
it's
fluff.
not all fluff. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely like feedback and everything else in there, but I try to be really kind about it because I've done it. John threw me up there to pitch Sales Loft one time at Startup Village, like on no preparation, y'all. None. And he was like, do you want to do this? And I was like, not really, no, but yeah, okay. Which is really how you should go through life, right?
Yes.
If you have a moment where you're like, I do not want to do this, is terrifying, this is a bad idea, that's when you should do that thing.
Absolutely.
Because the fact that it's scary means that you're challenging yourself, you're getting outside your comfort zone. And you know what, you might fail at it. It might be terrible and awful, and you're like, I'm not going to do that again. But you learn something, and then you don't do it that way next time. And I feel like that about pitch events is that that's the only way to get better, is you get up there, and you are suddenly in front of people who are gonna, this is your baby, you have your baby, it's beautiful to you, you have lavished all this love and care on your baby, and you're gonna put it in front of 600 people who are gonna tell you how ugly your baby is.
And ask you questions that
Yes.
you don't feel like answering.
And you're like, can we take that offline?
Yeah.
Like, that's my
Thank
favorite thing.
you,
They're like, let's
audience
table that
member,
for later.
that It's funny that you were just talking about that process because something that we really love here at 3CI is the 4 C's formula. Have you heard of it? Yeah, by Dan Sullivan.
Yes.
So that's what you do. Like,
You have to.
you say yes and then you find a way.
Yes, exactly. And you know, again, sometimes you fall down, but fail fast, get up, learn from it, do something else, find the silver lining in it.
Yes.
And now you know the questions people are going to ask you, because when you're in front of an investor, when you're in front of employees, these are the questions they're going to ask you. And isn't it better to get them out in front of a warm, friendly audience and then know the answer when somebody important asks you? Because that answer might be the difference between you getting the funding you want or not.
Straight up, the questions that you will be asked in a warm, supportive, loving Atlanta tech community.
Loving.
Much easier than the ones when you're, say, in Silicon Valley or a New York City VC firm's office, and it's not easy. They are throwing hard balls at you, not soft ones. And so it's very helpful to help take your pitch game to the next level.
It is. I mean, pitch practice is fantastic, and I think everybody should invest in pitch practice. ATV hosts pitch practice, and it is amazing for refining what you're saying and really getting that down in a very pat way so that you can then reel it off in a natural but refined sort of thing. But standing in front of 600 people all staring at you while you're holding a microphone.
I'm sweating just thinking about it.
Right? Yeah. And the best, so we record every Startup Village. We are lucky enough to actually have a company that donates that, which is fantastic. And Emma with Pulse Spark, you're out there.
Yes, we've had
I know
her
where
on.
you are. She's great.
Love you, Emma.
So great. So she kindly does this every single month, and then they post the recordings up. And so I watch myself every single month, and every single month I'm like, oh, don't do that again. Why did I do that? And once I fell over something, I was like, that's gonna live forever in the recording, you know? So just get up there and do it.
That's great. That's great advice. So not only do you support Atlanta startups through various entities in the city, you specifically pour into women and minorities.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, this is really where I'm very passionate. What I have discovered, especially by running Startup Village, is that men really put themselves out there. And this is one of the things you can look up statistics on, and you're like, yeah, men are like, I got 60% of the qualifications, you should totally let me do this job. And women are like, I have 150% of the qualifications and I don't know if this is gonna work. And you're like, so what happens is men will send me ideas and be like, in like 3 months, this is gonna be an amazing thing and it's gonna be everywhere, so can I go ahead and put myself on the roster to pitch in 3 months? And I'm like, sure. And sometimes they're there for 3 months and sometimes they're not. Women literally have their friends and family send them to me. So if you are out there, I want you to send me your idea, not your friends and family, send me yours, because they think they're not ready. I had a woman who pitched tell me she didn't think her company was ready, and she had been profitable for 2 years and had 10 employees. And I was like, I have people up here who are pitching like mock-ups. I'm fairly certain you're okay.
It's like unicorn wishes and dreams.
Yes.
And, yeah.
So my goal with taking over Startup Village is to have at least one woman and one minority every single month. And sometimes that works well and sometimes it doesn't. There's timing, there's logistics. But I try really, really hard to reach out to those areas of the community. So when I took it over, I reached out to all of the different incubators in town, because there's also, and let's talk about diversity, is it's not just women, and it's actually not just minorities in a racial way, but there's also minorities in terms of demographics. And we have these fantastic startup incubators and hubs and innovation labs in town that aren't downtown, that aren't in Buckhead, that are in Alpharetta, that are in Kennesaw, that are all over the place. And I started reaching out to those places because that's diversity as well.
Absolutely. There's one launching in Augusta that we're going to cover.
Yes, it's so great.
Yeah.
And so those are the people that I want to come and showcase what they have. You don't want to see the same people over and over again. Like, it's fun, you can have friends, and sometimes it's like a little tech party at our tech events, and that's fantastic. But you can grow that network and learn something new, because that's the whole concept of thinking outside the box, is that if you have a box and you have a box and our boxes are the same, then we're never going to get outside the box. Somebody else has a different box.
That speaks to the inclusion part of diversity and inclusion, is that if we're all in a big techie clique of like, hey, high five, and these people are sitting on the outside super intimidated, that's not going to help anybody.
Yes.
So what you're doing is so important on so many levels, and I just want to publicly thank you and pour into you as much as I can. And I want
appreciate that.
Anybody watching out there to actively reach out to Aly.
Yes, send me your people. You can find all my contact information at allyandtheatl.com. And I'm also, this is going to be really redundant, Aly at allyandtheatl.com to email me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on everything's co-branded. Once I realized that was available, I just branded all of it.
So awesome.
So please reach out. I do work a full-time job, so sometimes there's a slight delay. I apologize. I unfortunately cannot be all the places I would like to be. I haven't found a time turner yet. It's not a real thing. And I do want to also say that there is a lot going on in the tech scene. Speaking of tech scene, seeing the same people, that there are some people that I think are kind of either, I don't want to say unsung heroes, because I think there are people who know them, but I think they're getting ready to kind of break out in a big way.
Ooh, can we talk about them?
Yes, we can. And so first of all, there's people who are amazing in the tech scene in Atlanta that you should know, and if you don't know them, you should. Jen with ATDC, Jackie Chu does ATDC and TEDx Peachtree. They are fantastic and amazing people. And then obviously all of the women of ATV, who I know that you've mentioned before. They were the K team for a long time, and now Hilton is also on there, but it's like Carly and Karen and Kellyanne, and they are fantastic. Now these are all people you probably already should know. There are a couple of people I want to mention that don't get as much play, and they should. So first of all, I want to talk about Stephanie Diaz.
I freaking love her.
I know, she's fun, right?
She's like, if you were to have a person embody the gift of the reaching down to pull women up and
Yes.
then lift them up, it's her.
Yes. Stephanie ran Mastermind Your Launch, the podcast, for 4 years? And recently she's branched out into a passion project called WOA, Women Only Entrepreneurs. And she did a couple of events last year while still running the podcast, because we all have side hustles to our side hustle at this point. And so she did a couple of events and had this amazing turnout because what she wanted to build was a community of women who could talk about literally the woes associated with building a startup or your dream or your passion project. And then she built in inspirational speakers and motivation, and then she does this fun thing called stiletto dancing. It's awesome. So everybody in the audience, she brings in a professional, which is good because I'm terribly uncoordinated. And then everybody puts on their heels, and you actually do like coordinated dancing. There's like 150 or 200 women dancing in heels, and it is amazing.
So I saw that on LinkedIn, and I didn't quite understand what it was. Now I get it, and I want to do it.
You should.
Stephanie, that's so awesome.
I think she's just started doing it full time, and so it's one Tuesday every month, I believe. And you can find her online, and I know you'll pop up the little graphic, and you should go. It's pretty fantastic and very, very inclusive, and you're building your network with other people other women who are that motivated. So first of all, Stephanie, and then I also want to talk about Erica Stanley.
Yes.
Now, Erica works for my company, for SalesLoft. She is our engineering manager, and she is amazing because she is possibly the most humble person I know. She rang the opening bell on Wall Street, and nobody knew about it until a friend of hers posted on Facebook.
It's completely insane.
I'm not gonna lie, if I rang the opening bell on Wall Street, that would be my profile picture everywhere. But she was super subtle because she was like, oh, well, we had a funding announcement at work and I didn't want to steal their thunder. Literally, this is what she said to me. And a week later, she was in Huffington Post for one of the people that you should be watching in the Atlanta startup scene. And she didn't post that either.
Okay.
I posted that.
Yeah.
So Erica is also, in addition to being our amazing engineering manager at work, she is also one of the co-founders of the Atlanta chapter of Women Who Code.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. They are one of the top 10 internationally of the Women Who Code chapter. And last year, they started their first conference called the We Rise Women in Tech Conference. And they had like 600 people show up, and it was the best conference I've ever been to, and it was 90% women.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I know you've been to some tech conferences.
A couple.
So one of the main benefits of going to a tech conference is there is usually no line for the ladies' room. Because there's like 4 of us, right? Women in Tech. We Rise had so many women that we had to turn the gentleman's room into a ladies' room.
Yeah,
and
duh.
that was so, all right, so somewhere there is a post, and we can find it and put it in because there is a picture. I think Melanie Chrissy took it. She's with Full Story now, and she took this picture of the progressive days of the conference as the bathroom sign got more inclusive. First it was a women's sign, and then it was like I think it was like women/men, and then it was like everybody. Like every day it got more inclusive as we realized that it's like it doesn't matter because it also was not just women, it was transgender and everything else, and we were just like, everybody just gets to pee. Like
You all get to pee.
So it was pretty amazing. And so Erica and her team, and she has an amazing team with the other women, Angel and Alicia and Beth, and they're all fantastic, and you should know who they are. And then I've got 2 more. I'm going to go really quickly. I know that
You're
I'm
fine.
like,
This is
talking
good.
all over the place, as per usual. I also want to talk about Maya Jones Walker with TAG. Now, this is going to be somebody that not a lot of people know, but you've probably all seen her at a TAG event. So, Technology Association of Georgia, for anybody who doesn't know, you should go to the events. Maya took over Creative Services Director, I think, last year and a half ago. And TAG is a fantastic organization, but they have like 50 sub-organizations.
It's big. It's the largest state tech trade association in the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is fantastic, but the problem is getting all of them under one social media roof.
Woo.
And that, yeah, I know. And that hadn't really happened. And so Maya took it over, and now she's running their social media, and she also is a photographer, which is why you've probably seen her at a TAG event somewhere in the back taking amazing pictures. But she did something really cool. She started something called the TAG Bloggers Network. And she said, we have these fantastic people here in Atlanta. We need to loop them all in. Full disclosure, I'm one of them. So she sent me an email, and it was super random and out of the blue. And she was like, hey, so you don't know me, but we're going to do this thing where there's a lot of events that TAG helps sponsor, and we'd love you to come and help cover it in exchange for going to this event. Now, I'm broke like all the time. And so there's always these really great technology events, like most people in startups, we're all broke. Unless you're an investor and then you have more money than I know what to do with. But and you should give it to some deserving startups. But she reached out to me and was like, so there's this really great symposium and it's like $150, but if you come and cover it for TAG, then we'll get you in and you have a place at the media table. And I was like, oh, fancy, I have a media table.
Okay.
So I agreed to do this. And full disclosure, I had been a TAG member for years. I had paid for it myself and now my company pays for it. And I think it's just a very valuable thing. And so I said, well, I can write for you, but I can't post it on TAG's site because then I feel like there's oversight into what I'm going to write. And it's really important to me to be able to be honest and truthful with my audience. So I'm happy to write it and you can cross-post it, but you get what you get. Like if there's constructive criticism in there, that's going to be in there. That's part of what you get with what I write. And she was like, totally fine. So she has this whole bloggers network that now we all know each other, and some of them take pictures, some do social media, some of them write like me. And it's across all these spectrums. So she's bringing everybody in the tech community together in ways that would not have happened before.
That is so smart. Good job, Maya.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
She's fantastic. And then the last person I want to briefly mention is Kunbi with Urban Geeks.
Yes!
With a Z.
Yes!
And she is behind the scenes in a lot of things. So she was a former BBC and I think NBC News anchor for years. And so she's beautifully presented and
Eloquent.
well-spoken. Oh my God.
So smart.
And she has this beautiful accent and everything she says sounds really smart. And I'm just like, if I said that, I would sound like an idiot, but you make it sound amazing. So she obviously is beautiful in front of the camera, and she took this organizational talent that she had and built this news platform, and it is specifically for African American, Latinx, and multicultural. And it is TV, it is online, it's podcasts, it's radio, and then it's online articles. And she's collecting it all together in this really fantastic way and then pushing it back out to the world. And she's self-funded, and she's, 2 or 3 years in, and it's very successful. They have a huge readership. And she's based out of ATV as well.
It's awesome. All just quality people. You totally nailed
know.
it. We'll link to all of them in
Please
the
do.
YouTube description. Aly, you neglected to mention your awesomeness. You say you work for Sales Loft.
I do.
You're actually chief of staff. So tell us what that means, because that's awesome.
Oh, I wish I knew what it meant. We're figuring it out. So chief of staff is a new position at Sales Loft. It came about because my CEO and my COO, Kyle Porter's my CEO and Rob Foreman's my COO. They're two co-founders, and they saw somebody else with a chief of staff at an event and thought that it could be a really effective way to build more and get more out of the business. So chief of staff, I'm a researcher at heart, so when they presented this to me, I was like, I don't know what that is. And they were like, we don't really know either, but we're going to figure it out. So I started looking it up, and I started talking to other chiefs of staff. And it's a little bit of everything. It's everything from being sort of executive assistant-y, so there's calendaring and scheduling, and then like sometimes I do things like buy chapstick for somebody or like a birthday card that they forgot or something like that. So there's like definitely the more day-to-day logistics. But then there's also, because Kyle and Rob really wanted somebody who could help do something strategic, I get to do things like sit in on investor meetings and board meetings and weigh in on things that I would not have any idea were going on behind the scenes otherwise. So it's a huge spectrum. And then there's also like a little piece of like the Devil Wears Prada personal assistant where I'm like behind the scenes being like, you need to know about this thing that they're not going to talk about, but FYI, this thing. And so I'm 4 months into an 18-month position. And so we're learning and figuring it out as we go along. There's definitely learning and growing pains on all sides, myself, Kyle, Rob. And it's funny because Kyle and Rob are two completely different people. Like they're opposite personalities. So if you know them, you know this. Kyle is like super high energy all the time. He doesn't sleep, and I know this because he sends me emails like throughout the night at like 1 hour intervals. He doesn't expect me to respond to them, fortunately, but like that's when they come in. And then you've got Rob over here, who's very low key, very calm, very amazing people leader, very personable, very empathetic, very like, tell me about your feelings. And it's completely opposite, and it works really well. So when I moved into this position as chief of staff, it was a very clear delineation. Kyle over here is like sending me emails, and he was like, hey, can you get this thing? And I'm like, yeah. And Rob is like, hey, if you have time, would you mind, but not if you're super busy, can you? And I finally was like, Rob, I just need you to tell me what it is you need, and if I don't have time, I'll tell you. Like, let's just go. So it's been amazing, and it is an 18-month position specifically where I roll into a different position at SalesLoft, and I will be training somebody else to come in and take it over. So it's meant to be like a business training position. You learn all sorts of things from the inside out, from finances to strategic to like super high level stuff on how to run a business. Mm-hmm. And so that's really why I took it. Not that I don't love going to buy chapstick, but in general, it is this level of transparency that I wouldn't have access to any other way. And I get to help the business in a really cool way.
It's an amazing opportunity.
It is.
I am so excited to watch your journey unfold and glean learnings from you about it. You know, you're always welcome to come back anytime, talk about it, pour into the Atlanta startup community.
Well, I mostly have no idea what I'm doing right now, but you know, we'll figure it out.
So as we conclude, I always like to ask guests how we can help them. How can we help you? You do so much for so many people. You truly are a giver. What can we do for you?
Honestly, what I was talking about earlier is send me those people that aren't willing to put themselves forward so I can get them out there and connect them to the right person.
Okay.
Because sometimes there's a connection waiting to happen that they just don't know the right people. You're a connector, you know all these people, so anybody out there who has somebody who thinks that their story needs to get out there, that they need a little push, because we all need a little push, send them to me and I will absolutely help them get out in the spotlight.
So Aly at AlyInTheATL.com. That's A-L-Y.
Yes.
One L.
One L.
Follow her on social. Follow her journey. I already am, and it's absolutely inspiring. Aly, thank you so much for being here and for your time and for all that you do.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.